Thanks for joining Veiled Mystic today as we examine the Egyptian goddess Wadjet. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this presentation. Wadjet, Egyptian serpent goddess defending Lower Kemet. Manifesting first through celestial symbols before Egyptian dynasties itself, Wadjet embodies earliest serpent goddess iconography from pre-dynastic periods whose origins harken back towards the beginning of represented time when sacred feminine potency articulated civilization's mythological underworldly depths. Her dynamic ever-present coiled form signified both destruction and protection while stimulating cultural fascination that proliferated symbolic meanings further across pantheons worldwide. Serpent symbolism in early pre-dynastic Egypt. Long before pharaonic systems defined Egypt's consciousness entirely, early cultures there exhibited serpent fascinations through reverential art symbolizing potent atmospheres. Cobras specifically symbolized renewal through venom's quick death catalysis followed by substantive rebirth. Wadjet's early imagery channeled this polar duality for forging awe during ritual moments. Once unification emerged dynastically, the cobra's magical radiance sustained through Wadjet as Lower Egypt's royal patron goddess whose cults venerated mystic traditions. While later pantheons dressed mythic identities anthropomorphically, primordial Wadjet channeled raw pre-rational potency through elemental cobra shapes remaining visible traditionally upon Neme's crowns adorning ruling monarchs as intended carnal medium transfiguring mundane human limitations ostensibly. Wadjet goddess roles and responsibilities. Eventually developing humanoid persona additions beyond coiled Ophidian mystique alone, core responsibilities linked Wadjet continuously with protecting kingships and lands through almost paranormal weaponry deflecting dangers intruding. Her ever-ready goddess dynamism stood guard eternally against chaotic potentials toppling delicate human orders. Despite cultural epochs changing dramatically, this solidified archetype thrived across Egyptian history until fading from systemized worship. Force of royal protection. Following unification of Upper and Lower Kingdoms, Wadjet mythologies depicted her both defending borders against invading foreigners scheming destruction while playfully terrorizing intruders of trespassing sanctified community grounds carelessly. Displaying almost vampiric qualities preying on outsider energies, violent retaliation became signature for this guardian who seemingly stabilized existence itself through each transforming cycle between order and oblivion. Some records propose the systemic concept of kingship first articulated itself through her looping coils encircling rectilinear palaces and temple structures as signals of sovereignty made incarnate temporarily through human agency. Only strict obedience and rule preservation satisfied Wadjet sufficiently for sustaining balance and continuity. Disorder threatened releasing primal chaos again from depths beyond current reality bubbles should bonds ever weaken between kings and goddess stewarding their fragile authority claims against unruly peasant ridicule. Such emphasis on conformity and unwavering loyalty towards central thrones indeed emblematized early Egyptian governmental temperaments. Uraeus serpent adorning royal regalia. As defender against enemies and dissenters rocking status quos favoring elites, Egyptians revered the cobra goddess through Uraeus iconography integrated into lavish royal headdresses, scepters and diadems worn by commanding nobility seeking legitimacy fortifying their transient claims over subjects and lands. This ornamented insignia visibly channeled Wadjet essence through surrogate media for affirming sovereignty atmospheres empowering leadership towards objectives. The Uraeus marked Egyptian viewers unambiguously that formidable protection accompanies present monarchs and alignment serves interests most wisely. Its incorporation into fashion demonstrated magic and politics already inseparably intertwined for actualization. While Egypt's leadership model and religious systems transformed across eras, Uraeus motifs lingered prominently until nearly the end of that civilization itself. Its hypnotic shape inspired equal parts fascination and terror. For Wadjet strikes without warning if displeased by careless actions or infringing sanctums without proper permits. Yet for loyal citizens and allies, her golden richness nurtures prosperity through all seasons. Such capricious volatility intensified dramatic yearnings for blessings from an otherwise temperamental goddess. Solar associations as goddess of the sun Beyond guardianship roles solely, Wadjet's symbolism underwent assimilation also into solar theology through the immense sun disk icon Ra. Her dynamic coiled shape formed one section of a singular Wayut amulet symbolizing the reconstituted Eye of Ra after reassembling following classic combat myths. Within this solar context, Wadjet governs the right eye force, representing fury and vitality and permanent interplay with contrasting milder left eye temperaments. The independent sharpness of Wadjet arguably softened, undergoing mythological mergers with Ra's attributes later. But through the harmonized eye icon, Egypt perceived balance between masculine willpower and feminine mindful strategy for accomplishing intentions. By honoring the solar goddess of Lower Egypt, mortals channeled quantum energetic currents manifesting desire ultimately across temporal planes. Her mythic might shaped reality itself accordingly. Connections with Serpent, Scorpion goddess. An intriguing additional relationship from later Ptolemaic fusions shows cobra Wadjet affiliations with Serpent, the scorpion goddess of medicine known for counteracting dangerous venoms. Just as Serpent neutralizes lethality from the underworld's darkness, Wadjet weaponizes equally potent toxins offensively against demonic adversaries threatening harmony. Together as a goddess pair governing biological potency amplified from nature's essence, both Wadjet and Serpent suggest total mastery. Alchemizing the spectrum between lethal destruction and curative medicine reflects highest human wisdom. For Egyptians, all threats in contextual form become tools for illuminating truth. Poison and panacea remain interdependent sides of a unified dynamic. Their union brought protection for faithful adherents. Cult worship sites where Wadjet's influence anchored. Beyond mythic descriptions as funerary texts evolved increasingly complex vignettes, archaeology unveils foundational sites especially prepared, honoring Wadjet's earthly manifestation through contrasting structural designs, aiming channeling her ancient magical energies continuously across vast stretches of time. Elaborate pillar carvings and rare crystalline fossil shapes aimed focusing vortices, intensifying Wadjet's felt presence. Per Wadjet Cobra Shrine of Buto Cult Center. Located in Lower Egypt's immense Nile Delta marshlands, the oracle site and religious complex in Buto stands recognized as the earliest known established temple location specifically devoted towards ritual goddess Wadjet herself. There, intricate cylindrical cobblestone pillars arranged hypnotically direct sensory focal points for the purposes of divine invocation, illumination, and transcendent consciousness visions throughout the complex's mediation sanctuary rooms. Surviving wall fragments suggest prolonged spiritual practice activity dedicated towards her presence. Inscriptions also reference an historic metallic serpent statue reputedly enshrined there, reaching nearly 20 feet tall, crafted from bronze, silver, or pale electrum metals, the largest goddess monument from its remote era circa 3200 BC. Ancient histories document the grand cobra icon established under direct orders of Hora-Ha-Pharaoh himself as the first structured homage, symbolizing Wadjet's divine protection and wisdom physically. It established the permanent template for subsequent millennia of goddess veneration cult buildings, protecting goddess continuity through tumultuous periods eventually. Gable El Arak knife displaying goddess posture. In century predating Buto's dedication, one exquisite parallel development from Egypt's formative pre-dynastic Naqada period also prominently features Wadjet iconography upon functional tools rather than purely as emblem shrines alone. Originally discovered during separate archaeology excavation in Abydos, an elaborate flint ceremonial knife handle crafted circa 3300 BC prominently showcases a miniature figurine carved exquisitely as mythical creature possessing a lioness head and torso, while Wadjet's trademark cobra lower body coils underneath. The hybrid creature stands upright, clutching agricultural sheaves and floral bouquets, suggesting ritual harvesting symbolism. But it's the elegant curvature and scale patterning unmistakably matching a rearing cobra that proves significant given the behavioral similarity later drawn into folkloric serpents from this earliest institutional period. It offers glimpses that religious veneration toward snake deities already reached sophistication before written myths fully codified gods and goddesses into formalized canon descriptions. Only the Gable El Arak artifact provides this unique tangible bridge, demonstrating Wadjet goddess traditions consolidating through image and structure centuries before later theological expansion via funerary and temple relief writings. Sanctuary chamber at Hathor's temple in Dendera. Following initial glimpses from pre-dynastic Neolithic magic traditions venerating primal Wadjet importance through coiled serpents motifs, a final culminating expression crystallizing her goddess role as protector and cultural unifier shines throughout evolving eras at Dendera temple complexes built for goddess Hathor herself. There, the existing sanctorium underground crypt room honoring mythic birth legends was fully devoted towards Wadjet iconography through hundreds of carved serpent column capitals ringing the entirety of its interior perimeter. These detailed marble columns all feature vibrant dark blue and golden cobras shown rearing upwards from wicker containment baskets representing primordial chaos energy manifested physically as shrine guardians. Their symbolic shapes reference growth and blossoming defenses for people taking pilgrimage towards her domains of influence. Installed by the last native dynasty pharaoh Nectanebo II circa 350 BC, the ornate architectural patterning offers testament that over 3,000 years from earliest signs as Hor-Ah's coiled goddess patron, Wadjet traditions continuous enriched Egyptian spirituality until vanishing from known canonical records. Legacy on serpent symbolism in world cultures. Long preceding Egypt's own crystallization as unified territorial power along fertile Nile regions, elemental recognition towards serpents as transformative catalysts bridging mortality cycles profoundly influenced God-formed conceptualization from pre-dynastic periods onward there locally and through Egyptian religious item size later disseminating elsewhere over subsequent millennia. Primordial Wadjet energy signatures as prototypical coiled goddess transmitted into many descendant traditions worldwide. Her early cobra iconography associations with life essence, destructive potency and protection link symbolically toward numerous global cultures eventually displaying serpent reverence in medical caduceus, awakened kundalini legacies, destructive Hindu goddess features, Thunderbird clan totems globally, feathered serpent adoration in Mesoamerica, plus recurring Ouroboros symbolic across occult mysticism circles representing infinity and duality integral towards non-dual monist enlightenment. In these myriad cultural branches stemming ancestrally from primeval origins still shrouded, Wadjet arguably stands recognized as the original serpent deity molded further over time yet whose essential spirit never extinguished fully from our collective mindstream. Something innate resonates through her mythic legacy relentlessly seeking channels flowing again freely in synchronicity with great cosmic cycles governing fated generations across micro and macroscopic scales. Much remains ever recurring as timeless truth whispering itself through myriad manifestations across all worlds and lifetimes. Like Wadjet herself, primordial currents once released never dissipate fully but find myriad routes immortalizing symbolic gestalts into perpetuity forever and ever.